Leonidas Arcona versus Brian Shaw. That match got really exciting. After watching the first round, I thought it's over, but then something really, really interesting happened. And even till the last round, the match was kind of on. It was very surprising, not the way anyone would have predicted. So the first round, they slipped. Leonidas Arcona slips slightly better than Brian Shaw. And I was like, man, it is over for Brian. And it was over. When they got strapped up, Leonidas just buried Brian Shaw. Too much pronation, too much side pressure. It looked like Leonidas is 50% stronger than Brian. That's how easy he beat him. In the second round, Brian Shaw slipped better. This time, he went over the top of Leonidas Arcona's fingers, and Leonidas was running for the slip. He was preventing the slip from happening. So Brian was getting better without the strap. But there is a rule that if you slip twice, you will have to arm wrestle in the strap every single time. In the strap this time, Leonidas tried to go for a top roll, but he couldn't. Brian Shaw had a better setup. He didn't have the buckle this time. He stopped Leonidas Arcona. And Leonidas then both were shaking. Leonidas aggressively looked at Brian and forced the hook on him. Brian Shaw realized, shit, man, I'm in trouble. I'm going down. Then he bailed out with a huge elbow foul. After the start, the same thing happened. Leonidas tried to go for a top roll. He couldn't really go there. Tried to switch in a hook. He was doing good there. Then he kind of lost his wrist. He hit sideways twice pretty violently. He pinned Brian Shaw. But guess what? There was an elbow foul. So despite Leonidas being strong almost everywhere, even in this round, then Brian Shaw, he lost the round. Elbow off the pad. And Brian Shaw won that round, even though he also was on one foul, but he kept his composure. He arm wrestled technically very sound. Third round, this time it looked like Brian is kind of losing it. He's not really confident. And how can he be confident when he got flashed like that in the first round? In the strap, just like the first round, he got flash pinned pretty easy. Leonidas was really aggressive. The aggression, the confidence can be demotivating for everyone. That's how easy he pinned Brian Shaw in the third round. The score is 2-1 now. Fourth round, Leonidas, once again, he knows he cannot top roll Brian. He tries to do that, but he hooks Brian Shaw like very powerful. You can see the wrist curl going in from Leonidas. Brian Shaw, what does Brian Shaw do from here? The elbow foul, the good old elbow foul. He drags his elbow right from the front edge of the pad, right to the back edge, and maybe 6 inches off. He does that elbow foul, gets a restart. Now, the cornermen, Luke Polcher and Hermes are telling him to flop press, and I'm like, that's a bad idea. Brian can switch to a press, but he cannot start off with the press. He tries to do that. He gets curled in, and then I think there was a foul on Leonidas at this moment, but he easily stopped Brian Shaw's press. It didn't even look like he can get there. So at this moment, Brian was on a foul. He was on one warning. Leonidas Arcona was, I think, also on a foul. Then somehow the referees warned Brian Shaw to straighten his shoulders like 10, 15 times in a row. And at that moment, you wonder whether it should be a foul or not, because they were in referee's grip, I think. But Brian was allowed to do that, although he was not allowed to start like that. This time, the flop press connected. Brian Shaw was able to hold Leonidas Arcona. Leonidas was top rolling and he was like shaking. Leonidas had to bail out. So that was Leonidas Arcona's first foul. And at this moment, no, it was his second foul? It was crazy. There was a protest, there was a review, and the review was turned down, and that foul stayed on Leonidas. So the score somehow is 2-2 now. Man, Brian Shaw turned it around. Even though it looked like Leonidas is like 15% stronger than Brian, he somehow still made it 2-2. And when there was a restart, no, not a restart, but the fifth round, this time Brian went for a flop again, didn't work out. Leonidas almost flash pinned him. It took him like 2 seconds, but the match was over. I expected Brian to be more powerful than technical, but he was more technical than powerful. Leonidas is the winner. I'll soon be talking about what's next for them, but amazing match. Leonidas way too strong. Thanks for watching.